I'm Laura Garcia, and today I'm here with Alexandra from Red Cabin Real Estate Photography, and she's going to share some tips on preparing your property for listing photos. First off, what are some recommendations for preparing the property before photos?
Some important things to get your house ready for a photographer and for the sale is to make sure that your house is ready to go before the photographer gets there. Some things like getting mulch set out and adding a pop of color with some flowers in the front yard, cutting the grass and making sure that your curb appeal looks nice is nice when a photographer shows up and it's ready to go. Some other things, depersonalizing the home. If you can take down pictures of you and your family and those items and decoration that really just speak to you, it makes it harder for a family that's imagining themselves in your home to visualize that if everything is covered in family pictures. Some other small things is removing cars from the front of the house. When a photographer shows up and wants to shoot the front landscape or get the drone in the air and there's a bunch of cars stacked up, that kind of can slow down the process as well. Decluttering and taking items off of countertops is really nice. Fluffing linens and just making sure that the home looks warm and welcoming is really nice when a photographer shows up.
In your opinion, which photograph's better, a vacant property or one that's furnished?
I think a house that has been lightly furnished or has been professionally staged is the most fun to photograph. A house that's cluttered and personalized, like I mentioned earlier, definitely changes how I shoot and the amount of time that it takes to edit a picture. So a house that has been decluttered and a house that has been cleaned, or if you've hired a professional stager, makes it nice because I'm able to focus on the bones of the house. So I can look at a room and look at the beautiful arches or look at the bay windows instead of getting caught up with, oh, there's too many couches in the way, or is this bar stool really adding something to this shot?
That's a good point. About how long does it take to do a photo shoot of a house?
The size of the house really matters. So taking about 2 hours is, I would say is pretty average. I will shoot the still photos for the home first, and then afterwards, I'll do the videography. Depending on, like I said, depending on the size of the house, I would say it would be about an hour and a half for the pictures, and then the videography about 45 minutes.
In terms of the ideal time of day for a photo shoot, what would you recommend?
The orientation of the house definitely makes a difference. Okay. So if you're a beachfront property on the East Coast, we will be shooting it at a different time than if you're a northern facing property. So the orientation of the home matters, the weather and the season definitely make a difference, but I would say evening time is really nice. The light tends to be softer then, so you get a nice warm glow when you're shooting the outside of the home, and then inside, the light that's coming through the windows is less harsh and there's less of a difference between light and dark. So a professional photographer uses high dynamic range photography, so we're able to capture the depth of the shadow and the brightness of highlights in a picture. But when the light is softer and more even, it definitely makes those pictures pop.
Interesting. So you touched on HDR, I think that's what you're talking about?
Yes.
What other tools do you use to make your photos stand out?
I shoot with Sony, but I use a variety of different glass. I have some Nikon and some Canon lenses and some native lenses to Sony too. So using a professional camera is important. I also fly with a DJI drone, which is really fun to shoot videos and capture a home and a property from the air. I do all of my editing with the Adobe suite, so I use Lightroom and I use Photoshop and Premiere Pro when I'm doing the editing after I leave a property.
Oh, sweet. Well, how is that an advantage for a homeowner?
I think hiring a professional photographer is really important. When an agent can specialize in selling the house, when a homeowner can focus on preparing the property, And when they can get a professional that specializes in photography and videography, I think it can make the whole process go smoother. Everyone's gonna be good at their jobs at that point, and you get a listing and photography that really stands out and highlights the really important pieces of the house.
I agree. Yeah, let everyone stay in their zones.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm not good at photography, so that's why we hired her. Well, thanks for sharing your knowledge, Alexandra.
Thank you, Laura.
And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.